morning and welcome to Atlantic Blowout. This is a syndicated live program of the network featuring chit-chatting and conversations on special interest topics, news, events and stories through correspondent reports, expert opinions and stakeholder analysis. We'll go through the topic of today. DPO killed by suspected kidnappers. In Anambra State, traders shun Soludo's sit-at-home order. FCT launches civil service regularization exercise. Tinubu directs MDAs to honor Senate invitations. Federal government approves restorative justice system. Removal has discouraged smuggling, says Melekiari on fuel subsidy. We'll take a short break and when we return, we'll get to introduce our guests. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Guiding you in the show today would be me, King David Obasi, and I will be with my guest this morning, Comrade Chuba Okbuzo. Comrade, how has your morning been so far?
Yes. Bless God, it's a fine day. If it's only for the weather, I think it is wonderful.
Yeah.
When you think of the Nigerian economy and the state of events, it breaks your heart, but fine and good, we are up and running.
Yes, it's a wonderful morning this morning. We'll go through the stories and details, and we'll get to dissect the stories and contribute our 2 cents to it. We'll start from the Deso story, where Delta State Police Command has confirmed the death of the divisional police officer of Agbaho, who was shot and killed by suspected kidnappers during a security operation on Monday. The incident occurred in Agbaho, contrary to initial reports, suggesting it took place in Orerukbe. The command spokesperson, SP Bright Edafe, stated that the DPO was leading the operation aimed at tackling criminal activities in the area when he was attacked. He requested that the officer's name be withheld to honor the deceased's memory. The DPO from Orerokbe, who was also participating in the operation, sustained injuries but is reported to be in stable condition at a nearby hospital. Local vigilante groups have initiated a search in nearby bushes to find clues that could aid in apprehending the suspect responsible for this attack. A very sad one, to say the most. A very sad one. What do you think about this? What do you think about the story?
It is a story that I think is resonating with the Nigerian populace on a daily basis right now. And I think we're making this one special because it's a DPO from Delta State. For the past many years now, the Agbaro Galeazis has been a terror base or a terror den for many persons. And my only worry is that I do not really understand the report properly. What kind of operations would the DPO be leading that he was targeted out?
From the previous insert that was gotten from it, it was learned that he got a distress call in the middle of the night, that there were some incidents that were going on, and as a security personnel, he was meant to go see, to check it out. And he left his wife, I think, in a hotel, and went there, and this happened.
Like I said, I've read a couple of stories in respect to this event. However, let us try and stay on the issue as it is, or stay on the report as it was being released. It's a pity that the brave officer who took the lead, so to speak, in an operation of this nature had to go down this way. But this is the present Nigerian state. Nobody is really safe. The entire system the place is so tense. The hunger in the land, people want to make excuses for it. But whether we like it or not, it will only increase criminal activities, only increase tension. And until something is done and done differently, these are the kind of stories we keep hearing. I think we are making this one an issue now. We're discussing is the police DPO that had to die. People are dying on a daily basis from attacks of such, from both bandits, terrorists, kidnappers, on the highways on a regular. So I think every person that is alive in Nigeria today should be giving God thanks, because the Nigerian state is one state that has come to, I mean, I will say, every time we say it's lowest ebb. During the previous administration, we said it was its lowest ebb. Now I think we are getting lower and it's still the lowest ebb. And we just hope we don't get further down the ladder. But be that as it may, it's a condemnable incident. And I expect that the Nigerian police force will do all that there is to be done to ensure that the perpetrators of this crime are apprehended, because at least one of their senior officers is involved in it. But be that as it may, whether we like it or yes, how well have these kind of situations been taken care of? After a day or two now, we forget it and we move on like nothing happened. People are dying in their numbers on a daily basis in Nigeria, and little or nothing is being done by government or security agencies. So everybody is just living by the stroke of faith and God, and it is a pity that we have come down to this level of security in our country.
How do you think people that live around that axis would feel, knowing that for a person that should be feared and revered in the society as a police officer is being killed in that manner? How do you think every other person that is normal like you and me would feel?
I've spent 2 years in that environment. I spent 2 years as a security personnel in that environment. I worked with, I mean, it has been a volatile place, and people have, listen, the people living in Maiduguri, those living in Sokoto, those living in Kano, in Kaduna, in Plateau, Benue, the Nigerian state has normalized anomalies of security. If you wake up and you're alive, you give God thanks. If it happens to you, you just move on like it has happened. That is the state of mind the Nigerian state is drifting our people. But one would wonder, if people have gotten to this state, what is still holding them from acting up with the kind of funny economic hardship that they are facing? It goes to tell you that a lot more than that we can explain on media or on public space is happening spiritually and under the carpet. Because the truth is, people are living there in total fear. People are living there with their hearts in their mouths, conscious of anything could happen at any moment, and nothing is happening from the angle of the government to say abate these fears or allay them. No, everything is just, we are living by stroke of faith. And like I said, I've been there before, and if you're out of there, it's just by the grace. If you're there, it's still the grace. So if you're alive, it's the grace, and that's all Nigerians are living for. And it is a pity that in the midst of all of these, our government don't see these things as emergency. What we consider emergencies are frivolities. So for me, it's a pity, and I mean, should be condemned by all and sundry. However, I think the government and security agencies must rise up to the occasion and do the needful going forward.
Well, thank you so much for your 10 cents. I will not call it 2 cents because it was a very, very wonderful opinion from you. Whoever is living there should please be careful and take the appropriate measures to make sure that they go back home safe to their families and avoid areas of insecurities. We'll go on to the next story, where the sit-at-home order in Anambra State. Traders in Anambra State, particularly in Onitsha, have disregarded Governor Chukwuma Soludo's directive to open markets on sit-at-home days. Despite threats of severe penalties for non-compliance, many traders cited safety concerns, with one trader saying, "Let him bring his children to the market." The order aims to revive economic activities disrupted by previous directives from groups like the Indigenous People of Biafra, popularly known as the IPOB. On Monday, the main market gates were opened, but most traders stayed away due to fears of hoodlum attacks, even with plain-clothed police officers on patrol. Many surrounding shops also remain closed, reflecting ongoing security concerns despite the government's efforts. So basically, the governor has come out to say, stop the sit-at-home order. Come out and participate, join the community, open your markets and serve the public. But people have decided to disregard that order and stay at home due to the previous incidents of officers in the markets or any other place getting killed that disregard the sit-at-home order by the IPOB and other agencies. What do you think about this?
It's a very laughable one. Listen, a serious people know what to do. We are in a dire situation, and this grandstanding of government officials must stop or should be condemned. Even if they cannot stop, everybody that has an opportunity to speak to power should be able to say to power that people are drunken with power, not facing the needful, not doing the needful, but just want to make statements and make pronouncements here and there. We're talking of a DPO that just died, and as we speak, there is little or no clues to who killed him and what happened. Some people are still giving us different stories surrounding his death, and we're talking about telling the people to go to the market. And if from your own report, let's not take any other report. Let's analyze your own report. Is it not laughable? It's not embarrassing that the security personnel that came to secure the market were on muftis? Why were they on mufti? Why were they on mufti? It is declared. You heard what happened in Anambra State a couple of days ago. Listen, whether we accept it or we do not accept it, this is the reality. There is terror in the land. There is tension everywhere. People are even disturbed, so scared to say, if this tension, what we should be praying for is that these terror groups that are pockets, that have made themselves as pockets of terror scattered all over the country in different regions, in the 6 geopolitical zones, where can be exempted of terror and tension. A couple of days ago in River State, secretariats were burned down. Who did that? We should be praying that these people do not galvanize themselves as a one united force. Yes, our security agencies have been run amok on a daily basis. Whether we accept it or not, we say, oh, crimes happen everywhere. So what end? The number of people that die in Nigeria cannot be compared to the number of people that die in Ukraine that is currently at war. And we sit down, fold our hands, and we make pronouncements at the comfort of our homes. I love what one of the traders said. Let his children come to the market. Let's be real. What have you put in place? What mechanism, what measures have you put in place that should give the people the confidence to say, let's go out there? We have seen what has happened to people that have dared to open the markets on the Monday before. What has the government been able to do to the
sorry, comment. Since this has been happening, do you think the Governor Chukwuma Soludo is a very powerful person? I don't think there's anyone more powerful than the government or the Nigerian government. Do you think he knows how to get to these people if he wants to?
You said something that I want to equally observe. The governor is powerful as written by paper and the grandstanding, as the Nigerian state puts it, with a convoy of 40 cars, sirens blowing here and there. Fine and good. In that direction, you could call it power, because that's what Africans celebrate. It can come and at will make somebody's life turn around by a veteran or a check. That's what you call power, fine and good. What we're talking about the situation in the country today. Nobody is more powerful than the government, so we are told. And we want to believe so as good citizens. But ask yourself, with the plethora of crime being committed, the terror in Zamfara, the terror in Maiduguri, the terror in Kano, the terror in Anambra, Imo and all, how then do you say the government is powerful when the people that perpetrate this terror are not scared of the government and they are carrying it out again and again and they are going scot-free? Sometimes ago, a couple of months ago, if not a month plus, we had a notorious kingpin doing giveaways and coming out to tell the world that he is reducing the taxes of the people, of the farmers. And what has happened to that person? This is the country we have found ourselves, and the truth must be set to power. People can stay in the comfort of their homes, garaging around themselves a plethora of security officers. But does that make the state safe? Does that make other individuals safe? If it doesn't, then we should say it as it is. If it does, then we can make excuses. The reality of ground today is there is a crazy sit-at-home policy being observed in Eastern Nigeria for more than a year now. And the federal government and the leaders of the East have not been able to see to it that this is killing economic life. We are at the ebb as a country when it comes to finances and our economic growth. And what has the government done, or what is the government doing? Government will come up with even more difficult, harsh policies that are not people-friendly, that are scary. And what are the excuses we want to make? The excuses cannot be overemphasized. The reality is government is failing as it is today. We should say it as it is. And until government sits up and does the needful, listen, We're talking about people that are still in captivity. The Chibok girls are still where they are. The forest is not outside Nigeria. These people are not spirits. And like we like to what's it called? Quote the infamous statement of the former head of state, Sani Abacha. He said, when terrorism lasts for more than a day, the hand of government is in it. And every day we begin to see one or two things that makes the hand of government seemingly look like it is in it. We saw the Kabiru Sokoto inside the court, and we heard the confessions from him. We know what transpired. We've heard what has happened. What has happened from there? We are a country where we have been told, we've been given the list from an intelligence office, an organization like the Interpol, who told us that these are the sponsors of terrorists. They gave us names. The Nigerian government came out and said they won't come out and shame terrorists in public glare. Is that the country you're talking about to be serious about security? If the political class are not benefiting from the kind of problems and the quagmires the Nigerian populace are facing, if the high and mighty do not have a hand in all of this that is transpiring, what is there? We're talking about Israel fighting a country, and we were told that they sent ballistic missiles to underground bunkers. They sent drones to underground bunkers. Then we cannot send drones that will be effective in the forest and open space. And you tell us the terrain is difficult. What makes the terrain difficult? Is it more difficult than underground bunkers? Bunkers that are dug under the mountains? What are we talking about as a people? We are not serious set of people. And we have leaders out that are failing, but we have followers who applaud these failures, who make excuses, and that is the reality that we find ourselves. And upon this trend, that is why we see what is happening. We look at situation, people make statements, after making statements, monies are shared, appropriated to one security agency or the other. Come on, for crying out loud. We've heard about a lot of racketeering everywhere when it comes to security. And at the end of the day, this is where we find ourselves. Come on, we're talking about a country that has the capacity of people spread abroad everywhere, doing ingeniously, making marks. Then that same country cannot stay in their own nation and galvanize and make a mark that will be worthwhile. Come on, we have to be serious. If we're not serious, we just keep on coming to make rhetorics and live by grace. Like us, we are living by grace. For me, I'm living by grace. I'm not living by the security programming of any man. So if the day it chooses that our own part of life ends, that's where it ends. If it's for government to be candid with you, the government is doing absolutely little or nothing, and it is abysmally poor from every rating.
Well, we do hope that the politicians and people in power, as relates to what is happening in other parts of the East, gets handled. We'll move on to the next story, where regularization exercise. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA, has initiated a regularization exercise for its civil servants, aimed at streamlining staff appointments and creating a unified workforce. Samuel Atang, the head of FCT Civil Service Commission, launched the exercise at the FCDA Conference Hall. He emphasized the importance of this initiative in addressing the long-standing issue of staff identity within the FCTA. For years, FCTA employees faced ambiguity, lacking a clear association with either the Federal Civil Service or the Area Council Service Commission. With the establishment of the FCT Civil Service Commission, formally inaugurated by FCT Minister Yesum Ezenwa-Wike, following a presidential approval, the exercise seeks to give all staff a clear identity. The initiative involves compiling detailed records of all employees, including those on leave or study courses, to ensure accurate data and proper staff integration. The Commission will oversee appointments, promotions, and disciplinary matters moving forward. The regularization effort aims to address years of stagnation and improve the overall efficiency of the FCTA workforce. It's also to foster a more structured and consistent administration. So basically what this story is saying is the new exercise that has been set up by the FCTA is to have a different view of the civil service in Nigeria, where persons that should not be there anymore, there are a lot of people on the list that are not even in the country anymore. There are people that should not be benefiting from the exercise that are still on the list. There was a disturbing stat that 6 out of every 10 civil service person is just not real, is collecting what's not meant for him. What do you think about this new wrap-up, this new exercise that is set by the FCTA?
The FCDA arrangement is the Federal Council Development of the FCT. And I think their celebration now is that they now have an umbrella body where they can now galvanize themselves and possibly vent their anger, vent their complaints, and possibly move a way forward for them. And in the light of that, I think it is a good development, a welcome one, so to speak, because I think it's an act of parliament that signed it into law that the FCDA has to be a commission where it's just like the local council, where this is where I go to collect my salary, this is where I can make a complaint if something happens, there is a deduction. For more than a decade now, they say they have not been able to have a clear-cut direction on where they fall in. But for now, because of the creation and the approval of this, they have an umbrella body. But one would ask himself or herself, these are the real issues that we should be flogging as a country at this point in time. Are these the issues that should make our news as a nation? Are these really news, or are they supposed to be news in the first place? So for me, it's a good one. Thank God for them. The staff working there, because whether you like it or not, those people working there who have not had a direction for all this while, that now do have, will be excited. More so, in the course of their biometric exercise that they want to be doing, we hope and pray that they're able to accrue into the federal coffers more funds by being able to weed off ghost workers and possibly dead people, and let it be a system that should work. But for me, these are little or no issues that should really hit our public media spaces.
Do you think this is all talk and no action? Because we've seen in other different states where a lot of laws and ideas are being said and flogged on the news for weeks, and nothing is done about it.
Yeah, I think this is a development commission kind of, so I think it will always exist. What we're saying is it going to start existing on the same template of all other local government councils and all, where corruption has been the order of the day, or is going to be existing on a better template? That is left for the handlers to carry out. But for me, I think it's a welcome development that people now have an umbrella body where they can express themselves, possibly know how to galvanize themselves going forward. Outside of that, it's not really something that should be overflowed.
Well, that is a commendable one by the FCTA, as said by Chuba Okbuzo. Move on to the next story now, where Tinubu directs MDAs to honor Senate invitations. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, through his special advisor on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, has mandated the head of service, Mrs. Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, along with the heads of ministries, departments, and agencies, the MDAs, to honor invitations from the Senate. The directive, delivered on Monday, emphasizes the need for cooperation between government agencies and the National Assembly to ensure accountability and effective governance. The instruction comes amid criticisms over some agencies' repeated failure to respond to Senate summons. Senator Lado highlighted that attending Senate committee sessions is crucial for reinforcing public service dedication and upholding constitutional obligations. He noted that the directive aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aimed at providing responsive governance to Nigerians. The directive follows the Senate's recent decision to issue arrest warrants for several agencies, including Minister of Works, David Umahi, and NIDCOM Chairman Abike Dabiri Erewa, for their repeated absences from Senate committees hearing on ethics, privileges, and public petitions. Senator Lado reaffirmed the administration's commitment to transparency, stressing that timely engagement with the legislature is essential for national development and that all MDAs should prioritize Senate interactions. This story by this directive by the president that there should be more collaboration. What do you think about this?
Firstly, I think it is a pity that the Nigerian legislative arm, Nigeria has run the way it's run in a funny and a very, very embarrassing manner. That an appointee of government, of the president, will be invited by legislators elected by their people to answer questions in respect of how they have managed the resources that have been placed in their hands. And for one reason or the other, these persons will not honor these invitations, not once, not twice, and nothing can be done. it clearly tells you that there's words of the famous songwriter and musician Fela Anikulapo where he says party government. If it's not a party government, listen. The director of CIA was relieved of her duty right at the inquiry section at the Legislative Council when she was unable to explain to them the questions that were given to them, clear answers to the questions that were asked in respect to the attempt on the life of President Donald Trump. When then will you know that this is a life-threatening person? Or before the people, the commoners that are seated there, that are on the rally, I've seen somebody on the roof and are bothered, say someone is out there. Who is there? That's when CIA operatives that are so highly paid professionals will know. But in Nigeria, this legislature they are begging appointees of government to come and explain to them how they are faring. Why would they come? When at the end of the day, the only thing we get from this oversight function, the Committee of Ethics and Privileges, is that at the end of the day, we see the embarrassing sections on social media spaces. When the directors are unable to answer the questions, they begin to palpitate. They begin to give very embarrassing answers, and at the end of the day, it ends there. Listen, we are on an unserious set of people, and it's a pity that the legislative arm of government has been dragged to a level of so much disrepute. Without no respect. All that we do in this country, all arm of government, from the presidency to the judiciary to the legislature, they are only powerful when they deal with Nigerian commoners. They are only powerful when they deal with Nigerians who have no offices or possibly have no clout. Outside of that, they are all toothless. At the end of the day, they cannot do little or nothing. And what are we not talking about? If you invite a minister that is appointed by the federal government, by the president, and he doesn't show up twice, and you cannot give the president the standing order that person be relieved of his duty, who's the person in question? What are their certificates? What are their track records? That if they leave, the system will not function. There's no single individual that can stand and doing a government. But the truth is that we are in a country where we are not serious people. Everybody is about party. When they live there and they go and shake hands at a bar, where their own exclusive bars and hotels where they meet, and they laugh over it like it is nothing. And serious issues are not being treated or addressed. Ask yourself, a country like this, a country like Nigeria, some people imported bad fuel, what is locally called pool fire. Some people imported bad petrol, and there is a system in place that the federal government of Nigeria has put, that people are paid salaries, humongous amount of salaries, to receive this product. And the process of testing should have been first class, because Nigeria has all the money to get all the equipment in the world. Yet the product was not properly tested, and the product came to this country. The product damaged vehicular engines, damaged generators, caused people to lose their jobs in little businesses. Yet nothing was done by the federal government of Nigeria. Nobody was invited or questioned. Nobody was sacked. We have moved on from there like nothing happened. So to what end will you invite a director or a minister and he wants to honor the invitation? It's just for you to come and ridicule him. Maybe you have seen one or two memos that are faulty. Whatever is your mind, do. There's nothing you can do. After all, it's a party government where we're almost running a one-party system because we don't have opposition as it is. So at the end of the day, we'll go back to the president's table, and whatever he decides becomes law. It's embarrassing that the president has to start begging appointees. My brother, we have lost it as a country. We have more powerful people than institutions, and if we continue on this trajectory, we are only just waiting. If we do not have a U-turn as a country, as a nation, listen, some of these high and mighty will always escape the doomsday, no doubt. But ask yourself, will I be part of those who escape the doomsday? If I don't, what becomes my fate? And what will I say after now? What will posterity remember me for? What are my contributions? So we are faced or laced with a situation that is almost so hydra that we cannot know where to hold in hands. But it's a pity that over again and again we have seen appointees of government embarrass the legislative arm of government, and the legislative arm of government pretends not to know their duties anymore. Some of them make vote to say they don't even have any qualifications outside their primary and possibly secondary school qualification that has brought them there because of one nefarious act or the other in partnership in politics and whatever group they join outside the normal life, and that's why they are there, and that's why the reason why people can completely disdain them and nothing happens, and people move on like it is Uhuru for everybody.
So quickly before we go on a short break, since the MDAs have refused to honor Senate invitations and there's been arrest warrants for David Umahi and some other persons previously, what do you think should be the appropriate disciplinary measure to these persons that have refused to honor Senate invitations?
The Senate says they are going to be issuing an arrest warrant. They are yet to issue an arrest warrant. But be that as it may, to what end is the arrest warrant issuance? You ask yourself, have people not been declared wanted in this country? Look, we are a country of jokers, and until we keep saying it to the knowledge of leaders, to make them understand that we are not daft, neither are our memories failing us like some of their memories are failing them quickly. The truth cannot be overemphasized. Ask yourself, there was a notorious kingpin in this country called Wadome, who was arrested by the the IG Special Task Force, that was arrested, and a military personnel, a captain in the military, helped him escape. He was rearrested again, and he sang like a canary on national television, on everybody's media space. What has happened to him? What has happened to that military personnel? So it is not about saying issue arrest warrant. As an arrest warrant not be issued a former governor of Bello. To what end has that arrest warrant gone to? The truth is, we have made so many people too powerful, and the institutions are so weak. They are only functional on the lower cadre, on the grassroots. Outside of that, the institutions are almost not functional. And until we speak truth to power, and power gets to wake up in a place of its consciousness, in a place of reasoning, my brother, we will just continue running down this trajectory because nothing would happen. And what has happened before? Like I just give you two clear instances. One has been arrested, arraigned, tried. We have heard his confessions. To what end, we don't know what happened to him. Neither do we know what happened to the military personnel that aided him and all the officers that worked with him. And that is on one side. On the other angle, the Yabelu that has been issued arrest warrant for, what has happened to him? He's still freely moving. He's still doing his thing. Security persons will tell you they have not seen this has not happened. But it is in this country we saw a person make a careless post on Twitter. Before 5 hours, he was already apprehended in a remote environment by security operatives. He was taken away, whisked out, even for his parents crying out to the public, and the public began to plead because he insulted the first lady at the time. So this is the kind of country we find ourselves. Do not forget, I make bold to say, this is a country where security personnel went outside the shores of Nigeria to apprehend another person on the grounds of terrorism or whatever from another country, where the country said they are not even aware. In a Gestapo manner, the person was brought back into Nigeria. So what are we talking about? We have a system that is failing. If all the security structures and all the system we have is only the high and mighty to enjoy, and the Nigerian populace suffer, man, so be it. But I keep making the statement very boldly. Everything in physics has an elastic limit, and when it gets there, nobody knows who's going to cut in the crossfire.
Well, we've heard from Comrade Chuba Okbuzo. This is Atlantic Blowout. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll get straight to the rest of the stories. Stay with us.
Nigeria matter than normal matter, but it's just that only few people. It's a simple concept.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, Boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
Welcome back to ATM Blowout. I am your host, King David Obasian. With me here is Chuba Opuzo. We'll go on to the details of the rest of the stories. Removal of petrol subsidies in Nigeria has significantly curbed cross-border fuel smuggling, according to Mele Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC. In an interview with newsmen, Kyari stated that eliminating the subsidy addresses the price disparity between Nigeria and neighboring countries, which had incentivized smugglers. Kyari noted that for over 4 decades, subsidized petrol prices in Nigeria created a lucrative opportunity for smugglers. The subsidy removal, announced by President Bola Tinubu in May 2023, recalibrated petrol prices, making smuggling less profitable and aiding the fight against fuel diversion. While the subsidy removal has led to significant price increase from 197 naira to over 1,000 naira per litre, it is viewed as a necessary step for economic stability and fair pricing in the energy sector. The NNPC has also ended its exclusive purchase agreement with Dangote Refinery, allowing marketers to negotiate prices directly. This decision follows previous arrangements that became financially unstable due to the subsidy. The NNPC have stopped being the sole off-takers of petroleum from the Dangote Refinery, and every other person can negotiate with them. The previous fuel price has been 197 previously at a time in Nigeria, and now it is over, in some places 1,002, some people are saying it's 1,003 in Lagos and Ogun State. What is your take on this?
Firstly, I want to say the report, taking the report holistically for what it is, I want to state very clearly that it had vindicated some of us who believe that the analysis that we have given over time is what it truly is. When you hear that during the subsidy regime, let's take it from somewhere. When you hear that Nigeria is consuming that much of petrol per day, you now ask yourself, how many are we as a people, and what is the population of Nigerians who have vehicles? or who are making use of petroleum on a daily basis, then when you think of what they claim that we consumed, you know it's a far cry, it's a lie. And because these things are not cheap business that you and I, are commoners on the streets, want to do or can carry out, you now find out that it's still the high and mighty who are involved in these businesses. Having established that fact that that is what it was for these years, they will import so much product or less product, give so much humongous quotation, sell to all neighboring countries in Africa, make so much money, the subsidy money still comes back to them as a vicious circle. Nigerians cried, and upon that strength in 2012, some Nigerians decided, the president stood his ground and said, I'm taking off subsidy officially with a structured program and pattern. I make both to say structured program and pattern with about the best of technocrats and minds Nigerians ever gathered together, with an Okonjo-Iweala leading the fray at the time. We saw what transpired. The Okonjo-Iweala saga, we saw what transpired because it was a subsidy that was removed that led to the protest that Ayuba Waba led protest to the ground that no, Nigeria must this, that must happen, all hell must be loose, Nigeria must continue to pay subsidy. When the government has told us that they cannot even understand the parameter upon which subsidy was being paid. All of that happened, and this president was the frontliner of the protest at the time. Where there was a better, stable economy, we had more income as a people, with all sense of reasoning. I think every Nigerian should first and foremost lampoon every person that stood their ground, that made their faces known, no matter your office, as regards to that protest. Because even with that removal of subsidy, the fuel price did not exceed 250 or so. It was about 179 or so, 197 or so. Because I think it was 165. And with that removal of subsidy, it was being sold at 197 at that time in 2012. And for that 20 days, the government of Nigeria was able to tell us this was what we accrued, and you are pleased to pay over 80% of all federal contractors that we were owing at the time. But these same people had their reasons to ensure that Nigeria, the government of that time was hoodwinked and forced to make sure that there was a reversal. Else, Nigeria was shutting down everywhere has to be shut down, and all of that. Now we fast forward to this day. Ask yourself, what led to the NNPC first and foremost going to meet Dangote to first and foremost do it for any kind of negotiation? Ask yourself, we are not doing any import duty, we are not doing any cost of landing and all. Now the product is being produced here in Nigeria, refined here in Nigeria. One would have expected that the product should not exceed between 350 and 400, even with the fall of the Naira, because you are selling this product to Dangote in Naira. So who is playing with who? These people have seen the Nigerian people to be fools, and they have made up their minds to remain what they are. Ask yourself, a serious government that has left people like Amela Kari to be in office for this whole time. You have been there for as long as only God knows when. You said you saw the subsidy regime. You supported it at a point in time with all of that you had. Today you are saying removing it. As we both speak today, we do not know who owns the NNPC. We call it NNPC here today. It's a limited liability. Suppose it's a private entity. To what end? Who owns it? We don't even know the owners of the NNPC here today. But they are the ones that are the frontliners of negotiating for Nigeria and the petroleum product we go. Now you have come out to say, hey, we have got to curb smuggling. To what end? What is the smuggling all about? Ask yourself, we are not a serious people. If we are a serious people, people like Mela Kari should be languishing in jail because they should have been invited. You cannot be at the end of affairs of a failing business. If it's not a private business per se as it ought to be, who would employ these ones as directors and as chairmen? Nobody would, because people should invite them and ask them, how has all of this happened? What and what? XYZ, what has transpired? Where is the funds coming from and where is the fund headed? But nobody's asking the right questions. Now they have come to give us an humongous excuse. Oh, yes, it's going to curb smuggling around among neighboring nations. Who is smuggling it? To what end? Are we don't have borders being manned by security personnel? And what are these? Look, serious people are sending drones, unmanned drones, that have the capacity to fly from here to another nation. Are these drones spiritual? Are they rocket science? They are technology and they are bought with money. Nigeria government, all we are doing, I've said it before, even on this platform and on other forums, all we think about is to drill and export, borrow and share. That is how they just want to keep making money. We can't think with our minds. We can't think with our heads. And we are making excuses. Imagine you are selling fuel at 1,000+ naira in this same Nigeria. Just 12 years down the line, from 2012 to now. And nobody can raise their heads. Not even the leaders of the mosque or the churches that came out to say, what's it called? Save Nigeria group and all. Everybody is hiding their heads somewhere and making excuses. Some of them have even become advocates of the government because one way or the other they've gotten they've been able to carve a niche for themselves where they can equally join in the siphoning of the common patrimony of this nation. We must call the spade a spade. There is no moral standing or moral grounds upon which the cost of product should be 1,000 naira in Nigeria. We are producing, we are dealing the product here, producing the product here, refining it here. Come on, who is explaining what to us? To what end? So whether we like it, they forget so quickly that this is the value chain. When the petroleum product is this high, it translates to a hike in transportation, a hike in every other commodity. For crying out loud, in Nigeria today, we are buying the bag of rice for over 110,000. And we are still, our hands are still folded. And you see how people that have been appointed by this same government, people that are still coming out as economists, claiming to be economists, coming to explain to Nigerians why the economy should be where it is. Come on, there are no excuses. And we must call a spade a spade. And that is why, by the grace of God, when people like us have an opportunity, we speak truth to power as often as we can. This is the reality on ground. We have wicked leaders who have no other intent in their heart but to make money and amass wealth for themselves and their generations yet unborn in the most Gestapo manner. That should be condemned by all as sundry, because this is not explainable, it's not excusable, and that is why it is so pitiable. Almost all the institutions of government have kowtowed. Where is the NLC in all of this? Where is the Nigerian National Association of Nigerian Students in all of this? Of our leadership. That is why when you see even the transport workers that should be able to galvanize themselves, when you want to do elections, you find out that government interest is everywhere. Government plans are owned everywhere to ensure that they subjugate the interest of the people, subjugate the desires of the people. To what end? Market women, where are they? They don't. Everybody needs to come all out and ask questions. Come on out and say this enough is enough, and let there be a reversal of stuffs. Because people are living. Look, in the midst of all of this, we are making votes for over 21 billion for the renovation of the vice president apartment. We are making votes of how many billion for a presidential yacht. We are making votes of how many billion for a new presidential jet. To what end? Just living ostentatious lifestyles at the expense of the people, and nobody wants to speak up, and everybody has an opportunity to speak up, wants to be politically correct. We will not come out of this kind of quagmire. There is no excuse, because both Melakari and all his cronies, if it was the serious people, they don't have any business still being in office as NNPC directors or at any level, because they have been there, they are masterminds, they know what has happened to it. Come on, this is 20th of September, if I'm not making October, right? We are told that the Port Harcourt refinery must commence outside all the lies under the former presidency, led by this same Melakari and NNPC here, saying that the Port Harcourt refinery, all the refineries will be revamped and they will come up within before 12th of September. Even this year, today is 15th of what's it called, October. And as we speak, none of the refineries are still working. They will fully who all the monies voted for the repairs of these refineries. We are who is asking the right questions?
Comrade, don't you think this is growing pains? When any organization or country makes a law or makes a change of something that it has been used to previously, there's surely going to be setbacks. The fact that the fuel has increased to this, don't you think it's because we are growing and we're moving forward as a country and we're getting better? That's why we have to endure this these stringent laws and these hard times with the president and bear with him, hoping that the renewed hope agenda would bring us back to where we're supposed to be. These are just pains. Don't you think this is what it is?
Listen, we can speak all the good Englishes, make all the rhetorics, make all the excuses. A deaf man is a deaf man. A blind person is a blind person. And the reality is that the government is deaf and blind as we speak. What have you put on ground, or what is the government putting on ground as a mechanism to say in the next 10 years? And the government said we have planted 1 million trees, and in the next 10 years we'll be exporting these 1 million trees. That is why we borrow these monies to see to it that this is going to work. And the government said we borrow this money so that all the 4 refineries, the refineries in Nigeria can start working at optimal productive level, and this is it, and we can trust them to their words, and now say, okay, after which we start having having a benefit or making progress or profits from whatever businesses we have got, we are putting in place. There is nothing of such anywhere. Is there a school of research saying we are researching on a drug to say when this drug is so important, and when it is brought out, we are going to make sure that Nigeria, because of export, this is what is going to give to us as foreign returns? Nothing of such is happening anywhere. We're only borrowing and adding to the debt profile of the country, ensuring that our cronies are feeding fat, sharing the money for ourselves. Outside of this, ask yourself, you're a media person, what is the government project that is on ground that engenders any kind of hope or interest going forward? Is it the ones that the Chinese government is already planning to seize the property of government in other countries as entered by the former Ogun State governor, and nothing is being done about it? We are sweeping off those serious issues on carpet. Or is it the president? I mean, let us not go round and round the circles. The truth is, government is not doing anything that can endear any level of hope to the Nigerian people. Not so. All the promises made before, the ones that have been given to us, how far have we fared? As a media person, as a journalist, can you put your hands on your chest and say, yes, government has given me hope in this direction? If there is one, make both to say it so that people can hear it and equally enjoy hope from there.
Well, thank you for your 10 cents. Then move on to the last story for today. The federal government on Monday approved the introduction of the restorative justice system in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The new system aims to prioritize the needs for crime victims while offering an alternative approach to handling criminal cases. The Director of Public Prosecution, Mohammed Abubakar, stated that the initiative would help decongest correctional facilities and speed up case resolutions. Speaking at a workshop for facilitators, Abubakar expressed and emphasized that restorative justice would involve through active participation of various stakeholders, including traditional rulers, law enforcement, and the community. The approach focuses on repairing harm and fostering accountability rather than relying solely on punitive measures. Traditional rulers welcomed the move, with the Etsu of Kwali, HRH Luka Ayedo, calling for its implementation across the country to address overcrowded prisons. The Ministry of Justice noted that the initiative would promote healing and rehabilitation, aiming for a more humane justice system. Basically, this story is that instead of punishing the offenders of the system, is to address their concerns, the concerns they have, and make sure that when they are brought back into the system, they don't go back to doing what made them come back into the correctional service.
My brother, we're a country that has been run on paper, and it's fine. We're in a digital age. However, it is important that when we bring up good ideas like this, or supposedly good ideas like this, there should be the political willpower to carry them on. Outside of that, I think one of the aspects of to all of this is state policy. We saw something that happened a couple of weeks here in Rivers State, that an election happened over the state. It was one of the most volatile states in this country, and there was no gunshot. Everything went smoothly until after the result had been called. People have been sworn in before we began to see pockets of violence. It clearly tells you that, bro, listen, brother. If you want to be sincere, there is no person that has a monopoly of anything. And if communities are, if we revert to that regional kind of system of government, I'm not saying go back to exactly to regional government, but let them be a legislature that guides it, so that people will be able to know that a brother cannot just come to a compound and kill a brother when they are doing the election because he has an interest. He too knows that he cannot run far because the other person has a brother that will have the capacity to equally kill. But because everybody has a godfather somewhere in Abuja that is far, people cannot pay transport there, or people cannot run down there. If everything was revolving around a small circle, I can bet you that, listen, a lot of this madness that we see in government would have ended. More so, you talk about this corrective measure. Justice is to ensure that it is not just the people that with the crime they commit. They will look at the issues what led to the crime. What is leading to the crime today? You are selling fuel at 1,000+ naira, and you want people that whose monthly income are 15,000 to do what? What do you expect of them to do? What do you expect them to do? How do you expect them to survive? Or are you expecting to support their burials? Is that what you are planning on doing? Some people don't even have a stable income. So in the midst of all of that, you have increased everything. We are looking straight into, we are already in the Uber month, we are looking straight into the festive period. And you're selling rice at 110,000 already, and there is no hope in view, no sight of any possible reversal of any of the systems that we find ourselves in today. then you are telling the people, what do you expect them to do? Are they going to tell their children, oh, and the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration said we should not eat, we should stay at food our hands, drink water, and how long will they drink water? Is water food? So whether you like it or yes, crime will only keep increasing because it will have clueless leaders who have just been there making funny policies. They don't even feel the brunt of the people. They are not connected. They are completely disconnected. How do you tell a man that has 20 billion that the fuel is 1,000? To what end does it bother him? He does not even know if he spent money on fuel. But he fails to realize that there are humans like him that do not have 1,000 and have to feed on a daily. We are feeding on family and friends. And in the midst of this, you're telling us that we want to curb crime. How do you curb crime? It's just that you're going to be overbearing on the security agencies that are sincere. Because many of them are not sincere as we speak today. The system is so corrupt that a former prime minister told the Nigerian president that your country is fantastically corrupt. And it was something we smiled over. We moved on like nothing happened. This is the kind of country we have found ourselves. So whether we like it or yes, until government starts to bring up policies that will work. I have said and I keep reiterating, you cannot continue to do the same thing